Hello everyone, so today I wanted to do the much awaited comparison between the two greenhouses from LEGO Harry Potter. On the left I have the original 2007 variant from the Hogwarts Castle set, and on the right I have the new one from the 2020 Astronomy Tower set. I was planning to make this video a lot earlier, however I realised I was missing a pretty essential piece from the 2007 one, so I placed a quick bricklink order and luckily I was able to get my hands on the piece. I am still missing 3 pieces from that greenhouse, but I'll be able to show it to you pretty well without them. Putting the two greenhouses side by side, you can see that the 2021 is a lot smaller. It is also a bit taller thanks to that roof. Unlike the one from 2007, the new one has an open back rather than a closing feature. There is also a lot less detailing and fine architecture on the new one. However, it does have a lot more plant detailing on the exterior. So first up, I want to take a look at the 2007 one. This version of the greenhouse is extremely rare, as it featured in one of, if not the most rare Harry Potter set to date, the 2007 Hogwarts Castle. Now, I was lucky enough to get this for Christmas that year, thanks to my grandparents in the UK who shipped the set over. Now, opening up the greenhouse, you can see some interior detailing. It's not very cluttered and there's not too much in it. Now, in terms of the 3 pieces I'm missing 2 of these green leaf pieces, which I'm planning on ordering from Bricks and Pieces, and I'm also missing a second Mandrake head. Funny story about that, my old dog chewed it up. I still have the chewed up head in my collection downstairs, however I have got one of them in pristine condition. Before we go into detail about the interior, I wanted to take a look at the exterior. The first thing you'll notice is these 3 tall glass panels. I don't think this is a very common piece, as when I thought I lost 2 of them and went to go buy a replacement, they were quite hard to find. At the bottom, you'll see these pieces that are indented to kind of give it some depth and texture to the outside. There are also some cheese slopes on the top and some arch pieces. On the top, there are 4 glass panels, which are stuck on to kind of complete the look and give it a nice roof. However, there is some gap here where the panels don't quite reach over. This section I think could have been built up a bit more just by adding some 2x1 cheese slopes like this in the same color and just stick them there. Now that I thought about that, I might modify it to add them. The greenhouse also has one of the old style doors that they don't make anymore. I do wish that there was a bit more plant and some detailing that they put around the front. So let's take a look at the inside. The house opens up using this pivot joint at the back, and there's quite a lot of space in it. In fact, each half has the same amount of width to it as the new greenhouse. This one, however, is definitely longer. So at the bottom, there are these 2 simple builds using cone and stud pieces. I'm not actually sure what these are supposed to be. At first I thought they might be mushrooms, but then I thought they might have used the disc piece, so my other guess was maybe it's flesh-eating slug repellent as shown in the movie, but to this day I still have no idea. At the back there are 2 clips on the wall. One has nothing and one has a microscope. Over on the left side, the cone is placed at the back underneath these bricks, giving you a lot more floor space on this side. However, since the Mandrake barrel is placed in the middle, you kind of lose a bit there. As I said earlier, it is supposed to have leaves on the top, and that I am missing the second Mandrake head. But in this set, 2 of these heads were printed and you just put them in the barrels like that. Definitely a lot bigger than the newer Mandrake heads, but honestly, I think the print still holds up. Although they weren't able to get the arm printing on these minifigure heads, I do think the face print itself has an extraordinary amount of detail, especially considering when it was made. Since I am missing that green piece though, I just plop him in here. On the far right side, there is a small bench with 2 green leaves on it. On the right hand side, you can see some more of those mushroom or slug repellent pieces and another barrel which is supposed to contain the other Mandrake head. The piece I was missing was this Mandrake chalkboard. This chalkboard is one of the highlights of the greenhouse, hence why I didn't want to do this comparison without it. I paid $8 Australian to get this piece, as this set is very rare. Luckily, there was one person that had it in Australia that I could buy it from. I always could have bought just the piece and the sticker sheet, however the sticker sheet alone goes for $80. On the chalkboard there is a drawing of a Mandrake and a pot and some very small writing. Although I don't actually know what this says. It is a pretty cool sticker though, and I'm very glad I have this piece back. So that is it for the greenhouse. Although it has a very simple interior, it pretty much contains all the same things that the new greenhouse does, just with what in my opinion is a better build. So let's move on to the 2020 version. Now don't get me wrong, although I do prefer the look of the 2007 version, this one by no means looks bad. In fact, I much prefer the roof design. Like I said in my Astronomy Tower review, this roof just slots in and out very simply. The new greenhouse roof also captures the more triangular shape of the greenhouses a lot better. And upon closer inspection, I did realize that these dragons are actually on the original greenhouses, as showcased on the scale model of Hogwarts in the studio tour in London. However, the colour scheme on the new model is way off. Now, one of the main differences between this greenhouse and the old one is that this one has a lot more fauna on the outside, and by a lot, I mean 2 branches. There is one stuck out the front as well as a small paved path. There is definitely space to do that on the old one, although because of the old doors, it probably wouldn't have been possible. You might just be able to get away with it and still open the door. And on the other side, there is a vine coming out of the wall, which I really like. Most of these pieces, however, did not exist in 2007, so I get why they're not there. On the other side, there's an archway, and I get that all of the new Hogwarts sets have the open back feature so that you can play around with them, which is why it's there rather than an enclosed build, although I can't deny I would have much preferred an enclosed build. Instead of a magnifying glass, this time we have some scissors hanging off the wall. And instead of 2 barrels of mandrakes, we have 4 cauldrons. The new cauldrons are a lot smaller than the old barrels, and the mandrake heads are also a different piece, as the old mandrakes were a minifigure head and these new ones are a round brick instead. I think the older heads captured the mandrake's mouth better, but I definitely think the colour of the newer ones matches a lot better. My personal favourite though is the collectible minifigure mandrake. Although this version of the mandrake doesn't quite fit in the pot as nicely as these round bricks do, I like the fact that the stem sits up a lot higher, which looks a lot more accurate to me. It also gives characters room to grab the mandrakes by the top. You can pull the stem out on the old ones, just enough for a minifigure to grab them, but it's very easy for it to slip out. There's a very fine gripping point and spot where it's supposed to sit to be like this. It's quite hard to hold them all, but there are the 3 different mandrakes. I do much prefer these new cauldron pieces, however, for the mandrakes, I think it just looks a lot nicer on display. In fact, I bought 3 different versions of the CMF Neville just so I could have cauldrons and mandrakes to put in them. Comparing this greenhouse to the old one, I do wish it had some of those leaves underneath because I think that was a pretty nice touch from the 2007 one, but I'm glad this newer one has a much longer table. Although the minifigures wouldn't quite have enough space to stand side by side and pull out the mandrakes. Overall, I don't really think either of the greenhouses exactly match the ones that are shown in the film. However, I do think elements of them perfectly match up. In terms of overall build, I do prefer the 2007 one as I think the wider design of it makes it look a lot more screen accurate, despite the newer one having a more accurate roof. I also like the external plant detailing on the new ones as well as the mandrake, cauldron and table pieces. I do think the chalkboard though from the 2007 one looks excellent, and I honestly think by combining the 2 of them you're going to get a perfect greenhouse. After doing more research and finding out those dragons actually do exist on the roofs as well makes me really like the 2021 a lot better. The path out the front is also a nice little detail. I think as a display piece, the 2007 one does look a lot better, and because there is extra room in it to kind of fill out the figures and put Madam Sprout and a few of the students in Herbology uniforms, I think I'm going to go ahead and display that one rather than the 2021. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video comparison, and let me know if you want to see my finished Harry Potter display when I finally get it up and running. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave me a big thumbs up, and until then, I will see you later.